On January 7, 1970, one of the most spectacular alien close encounters ever to have occurred happened near Heinola in Finland. The event seriously stunned the Western media. 36-year-old forester Arno and 38-year-old farmer Esko set out on their usual ski run around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The weather was clear, frosty and minus 17 degrees. After skiing for half an hour, the men decided to take a small rest break. That's when the encounter began. Esko was the first to notice the craft, an elongated, fire-colored object with a powerful light behind it. There was no sound. The object disappeared for a moment, but suddenly a strange burst of light appeared above the skiers, which looked like a bright cloud. The cloud made a large circle in the sky and went straight for the skiers. There was a buzzing sound like a swarm of bees, and in the next moment above them, at a height of 3 to 4 meters, a light grey saucer-like object appeared. Arno tried to run away, but could not move. The object was a couple of meters in diameter, and 3 half-spherical spheres protruded from its bottom. There was a tubular-shaped protrusion in the middle of the craft, which beamed a strong light. After the craft stabilized its position, a greyish-reddish mist erupted from it, after which there was a sulfur-like smell in the air, which stung a little in the nose and throat. As the mist grew thicker and thicker, a 15-centimeter ball of light appeared, and the craft descended to about a meter above the snow. Next, the beam of light illuminated a patch of snow in a circle shape, with a diameter of 1 meter, the color of which gradually darkened from light to fiery red. Around the perimeter of the light circle, a black ring about 1 centimeter wide appeared. Both witnesses stood at the very edge of the circle and could not move. The light beam, they said, became solid. For 2 or 3 seconds, fiery red, green, and purple rays 10 centimeters long shot out from the craft 3 meters in an arc in all directions. At the same time, Arno felt like he was being pulled hard backwards. Then the black ring began to shrink from the edge, rising upwards at the same time, and soon it seemed to spin into a kind of oval-shaped ball, which then shot upwards. Suddenly, in the middle of the light beam, a humanoid figure dressed in a light green protective suit appeared on the ground, holding a black box in his hands. There was a hole in the box, and a pulsing yellowish light came out through it. The humanoid was visible for a couple of seconds and then suddenly disappeared. The mist continued to spread around the men, but then Arno saw that it seemed to split into around Esko and dissipated. That was the end of the 10-second encounter. No traces of the event were noticeable on the ground where the phenomenon had happened. According to the description from Arno, the humanoid was about 90 centimeters tall, with a waxy face, very thin arms and legs. Esko also described the humanoid. He said that it stood in the middle of the beam and glowed like a phosphor figure. It was about a meter tall and very thin. Its face was very pale, and its shoulders were slumped. Its arms were like those of a child. There was a helmet on its head in the shape of a cone, as if made of metal. The friends stood speechless for a long time. Then after maybe 3 or 4 minutes, different symptoms started to appear on their body. Arno had turned his right side towards the light beam during the event, and now his whole right side started to feel cold. After a while, it became warm, which then became hot. Then a feeling of numbness crept into his leg and hand, and the joints started to ache. There was a pain in his back, so much that it made him bend over. Finally, the nausea started. Since the men were feeling really bad now, they took a taxi to the Heinola polyclinic. The doctor did not know how to diagnose their symptoms, but instead gave them sleeping pills. The men returned to their homes and went to sleep. The next day, the men's condition had not improved at all. Arno had great difficulty getting out of bed in the morning, and when he finally succeeded, his legs felt numb and his back had stiffened and bent. The headache and vomiting started again. He went to the doctor again, who this time prescribed sedatives. However, they seemed to do nothing but harm, because in the following days and weeks, Arno's sense of balance began to waver, his memory became bad, and he began to suffer from nightmares. It wasn't until 4 months later that he started to feel better enough that he was able to return to work. Esko also suffered from various after-effects until spring, but his condition was so much better that he did not completely lose his ability to work. Later, they both had other health problems, including what they described as black urine like black coffee, facial swelling, headaches, vision and memory problems. To confirm the encounter, on the same day and at the same time as the skiers had their experience, Two other people saw a bright light in the sky. A farmer's wife, about 15 kilometers from the encounter, was on her way to the cow house when she saw a strange light in the direction of Heinola. 10 kilometers north of the encounter, the son of a household had gone out for firewood when he observed a light phenomenon. A strange thing happened in June 1970 when the two witnesses revisited the site together with a Swedish journalist, a photographer, and an interpreter. The hands of the three strangers suddenly became red, and Arno had to leave the site with a powerful headache. For Arno, the encounter had been a turning point as the UFO encounters continued beyond that January, because during the following years he had dozens of UFO sightings. During them, he said that he got to know many extraterrestrials, of which a so-called humanoid girl was the most common. Swedish ufologist Liljegren has drawn attention to the failure of Arno and Esko to offer anything by way of concrete evidence. On one future occasion, Arno received a green pen from the space beings, but he lent it to a researcher and never saw it again. He was given a stone, but made to throw it away. When he tried to photograph the humanoid girl, both she and his camera disappeared. Esko too tried to take a photograph of a mysterious light, but the camera was knocked out of his hand, and the film was burned to ashes. All in all, Liljegren concludes their accounts are more like sagas and myths than a logical contact attempt by an intergalactic civilization. Without question, these later accounts undermine the credibility of the witnesses and throw a dubious light on their original story. Yet, how did they fake their symptoms at the doctors? Let me know what you think of their story in the comments below.